Earnestly Podcast here, recording this on May 4th, 2020. How you guys doing? Another day, another Groundhog Day in quarantine lockdown life here in South Florida. Just turned 40 years old a couple days ago. And I'm sort of feeling it. It's an exciting time. I mean, obviously, I would have preferred a better circumstances, be able to party or go out with friends or be able to go to dinner with my wife, some to that degree. By the way, I'm recording this actually in the car. I'm actually on the way to the grocery store to get some odds and ends for the family. And, my youngest son, Logan, he has pretty much stopped napping in the afternoons. So it looks like now that any podcast I do, especially with guests, I'm going to have to do it at nighttime. Because a lot of time I would get in the afternoon when he's napping is pretty much gone. And there's pros and cons to that, of course. Pros being that when he doesn't nap, he'll be asleep pretty quickly. At 8 o'clock, you put him in bed, he's knocked out like a light bulb within minutes. If he naps during the day, he may be a little more challenged. He may stay up a little longer, a little later. It may take him a little while to go to sleep. But there's pros and cons to that. So I may have to start doing some adjusting with my schedule in terms of the podcast and when I record. But it's not really a big deal because when my schedule was normal prior to this pandemic, I said this on the show before, I started working days. I went from nights to days. So it's really only one day being impacted by that going forward. That's my Thursdays. The Thursdays I was off will be the only day that I'd be impacted on. But, it's okay. You adjust and you figure it out. Probably be some different stuff on the show going forward. But yeah, as I said, turned 40 last Friday. Good time at my mom's house. She's also, as you know, we celebrated the same birthday, May 1st, her and I. She turned 29 for the 31st time, I think it is. So we had a good time. My sister and her boyfriend made barbecued for us, made us burgers and hot dogs and chicken and everything cool. It was a really good time. I really appreciate them doing that for us. Had some ice cream cake, of course. Spent a good portion of the day there. About 7 hours, actually. That was a good day. I had a good time. Did a Zoom call with rest of my family who's not with us around here. That was good. So that was, like I said, it was a really nice day, considering the circumstances. Since turning 40, I've been really, and it's funny when you hit these kind of goals, you start really get your mind starts to turn and think about things going forward. Like the reality of hitting 40. Okay, so what's the future now? What's next? Obviously I have a family to take care of. So I'm looking at big picture things now. Being able to save money, being able to make sure we have our ducks in a row. Obviously this pandemic has kind of thrown things off for a loop a little bit because of the situation. We had to dip into savings and whatnot. But we're not in a bad place. We're actually in a decent place right now. Obviously as things go forward, we figure out, do we get to work? Will work be busy? We'll see. And that's one of the things, challenges going ahead, big picture. But, one of the things that, I look at in terms of, hitting this milestone, it's like, obviously, 40 is pretty much what I guess is middle age, or close to it. I mean, people say 45, 50 is middle age. I don't know. I've heard people tell me that the 40s are fun. People have told me in years past that 40s is the new 30s, and 30s the new 20s, and I don't know. What I do know is I'm starting to prioritize a lot of things that matter, like health. And I know I've said this many times over on the show, to people in the past that, I'll get healthy, this and that. But when you hit 40, man, that's a number that's okay. You have to start really prioritizing, what you want for the next 40 years and 50 years, if you don't last that long. And, and that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to, prioritizing, my health. One of the things I started doing this weekend, I wrote about it actually on my blog over the weekend, was drinking. And it's not a big deal because I don't mind water, but drinking more water. And my wife had really started taking that seriously, especially. She's always been a water person, but especially this pandemic, she walks around the house with a thermos of a 32 ounce of thermos with water and lemon in it, and she's constantly drinking that all day long. And for me, for a long time, it's been tough to drink water. This is just one of the stupid things about me sometimes, is that drinking out of a thermos, for me, drinking water daily that's something that I really, really cared about. I've been raised to, you buy water in the store, you buy a 24-pack of water. If I'm thirsty, just grab one, drink it, done, boom. We stopped buying the bottles of water actually late last year for a number of reasons. Mainly, it's bad for the environment, number one. And we actually saved money on that because there were times you have water bottles around the house and some of them were unfinished, some of them, were half full, some of them were still full, and they just hang around there, and then we end up throwing it away. It ended up making a mess in the house. So we started to prioritize, the environment and then our wallets. And my kids have done a good job. We got them thermoses late last year. They both kids they drink water out of that without a problem. My oldest son actually goes to school with a thermos all the time without a problem. My wife is obviously adjusted to that. She's all over it. I was the only one that really had a hard time doing it. And as a result, because of that, I would start drinking things that weren't necessarily good for me. So I actually ended up drinking more sodas as a result in the last couple months because of it. Which is so strange when you think about it, but that's my one vice I do have. I don't smoke. I barely drink. I'm a casual drinker, social drinker with friends and stuff within the certain confines of my life. But I don't have much vices. Sodas is one of the things that let's just call it spade for spade. I'm addicted to it. So it's one of those things where I've started to, now, because of the situation, because of health, I have to peel back on that. I don't think I'm ever going to stop sodas completely. I think it's kind of, let's be real. People want to say, well, you need to stop, it's bad for you. And I agree with that. But it's hard to go cold turkey. I've been told by personal trainers that, the best thing to do is just to, rather than stop cold turkey, just, drink one a day and gradually slow it down. My sister she trains once in a while, and she's dating a trainer. Like I said, she has said in the past, just slow it down first, let it naturally slow down, and then eventually you get to zero. And if it happens, it happens. So that's what I'm going to do. But I started adopting my wife and I. She's on this health kick now. She's eating healthier, and she drinks water, like I said, water and lemon all day long. She drinks about two or three bottles of that, and I'm trying to get on that level as well too. So for my birthday, she actually bought me the my own 32 ounce thermos, and I've started to drink it. I'm not at her level yet because it's tough, but my goal is to drink at least 2 of those a day, 64 fluid ounces of water a day, and then hopefully that will be a start, and maybe be an addiction going forward. She's already ways into it. She's obsessed with it right now. She loves it. So hopefully, I will follow suit. But this is the new normal for me now. I'm trying to get healthier, trying to become more, just be able to be, because I want to get older. I want to get older and enjoy my life when I retire. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to spend time with my wife and travel around the world and, do cool things that I can't do right now. And I can't do it if I'm not healthy. I can't. It's harder to do when I'm not healthy. So hopefully this will be the start, of a great next 10 years and 10 after that and 10 after that. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do now. So I've been on that kick. By the way, I wrote a blog about that last night. So if you want to check it out on the website, earnestly.com, you can check it out. All right. What else I want to talk about here? Because I don't want to spend too much time on here because I'm on the road. I have to get in the store and get some stuff. Finished watching The Office. Finished it this weekend. Loved it. I loved season 9. I think season 9 is up there as its most productive season of the entire series. I think even though I missed Michael Scott on the show, which was weird because I couldn't stand him for a long time on the show. He was just he got kind of annoying after a while, but there was a void there. I know they put Andy in that role and as the manager of Dunder Mifflin and whatnot, but to be honest with you, I hated Andy's character arc at the end of the show. At the end, I just didn't really enjoy it. I love the character arc with Jim and Pam having some sort of challenges at the end. Obviously, the one complaint about that is that you can say they could have done that, some of those issues early in the show, but it is what it is. I think the one thing about Michael not being there is it allowed other characters to flourish. It allowed Phyllis to flourish. I think Phyllis had a great season 9. Stanley had more screen time on there as a result. Had Michael there. A lot of the support actors got a lot of screen time as a result of that. I'm not saying Michael was not good for the show, but sometimes when you remove somebody who's so dominant, Michael being for the first 7 seasons the main character of the show, it doesn't, by him not being there, it allows more room to breathe, more opportunity. Kevin, and whatnot, being able to have more lines. Jim, Pam, definitely in my conversation is the greatest couple of all time. Maybe one day we'll debate that on a future show. Greatest couples of all time in TV history. I loved the season 9 arc, how it ended. I thought, in an era, especially where it's hard to land the plane, as I've been saying for years, Game of Thrones and, how that ending was controversial. Dexter, obviously one of the worst endings of all time, in my opinion. You have the ending to Weeds and other big shows. How much from other big shows that, while they were really good shows, their endings were less to be desired. The Office, he didn't feel that way. It made sense. Kelly and Ryan, who I can't stand on the show, the way the show ended for them was the way it should have ended, because they're both two foolish people. The way it ended for all the characters, Dwight marrying Angela, which for some reason with Angela, I can't fully hate her, even though she's such a complete biatch on the show, man. Complete bitch on the show, but something about her that kept me at, feeling sorry for her. Like I said, Jim and Pam, of course, their character arc was amazing. Love the character of theirs. I love this show. It's gonna share real estate now as my favorite show of all time with Scrubs and other shows I really admire. I'm actually watching the show again as a result because I'm really enjoying it. I always have this habit when I watch a show the first time, if I really love it, I go back to the beginning of the show just to see where we came from, just to kind of refresh it a little bit. I love the show. This Thursday, we're scheduled to do a podcast, me and myself, Ross and Ross, GW Ross. We're gonna finally do our office rankings of the top 10 characters of the show. Each of us are gonna bring our own to the show, top 10 characters. I'm looking forward to recording that this week. I cannot wait. That'll be done on. That's right now from what we're talking about now. It's scheduled for Thursday night. So look out for that episode when it drops in the coming days. What else I got to talk about? Oh, Don Shula died today, age 90. Working on a piece on my blog also too. Don Shula, it's funny. I live in South Florida, so it's a little bit easier to obviously appreciate him here because he was still appreciated even 25 years after retiring as head coach of the Dolphins in 1995. Not hard to not appreciate because he's still on the Mount Rushmore of most. He's still on the Mount Rushmore, in my opinion, of sports figures, sports. How do you say it? Icons. But I've always felt that, especially when you remove a quarter century from his retirement, especially in the era of the race debate and all that, he has become more and more underappreciated, in my opinion. Like, when we have discussions about top coaches of all time, especially with people today, modern era, modern media especially, we hear the names. Bill Belichick, obviously, Vince Lombardi, Bill Parcells, Bill Walsh, Chuck Noll, the list goes on. I mean, those are the creme and creme. And by the way, those guys deserve to be there. They are in the conversation. But for some reason, we never talk about Bill. We never talk about Don Shula. I don't know why. Don Shula is the winningest coach in NFL history. Say what you want about he was there. He coached for X amount of years, but he's still the winningest coach in NFL history. That has to be respected. And he is to this day. Now, Bill Belichick could beat that in a couple of years. We'll see how things go now that the Patriots are going to end up being a little bit average this year. We'll see how that works out. But Don Shula, to me, has become a little more underappreciated as the years go on. This guy has won 2 Super Bowls. He coached the undefeated Dolphins team in 1972. Again, he's done so much. He was part of the... He actually not only just was great with the Dolphins, he actually was great with the Baltimore Colts in the 60s and 70s. Or 60s, rather. So, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, we talk about coaches. I'm not saying that people... Maybe, obviously, the old guard of NFL fans and writers are probably going to look at Shula as an all-time great. But it doesn't feel like that when the modern media, we don't ever talk about Don Shula as a top-tier coach all time, despite the obvious numbers and whatnot. It's just weird. And obviously, for here, living in South Florida, obviously we get respect here, because we're in the market of said guy. But it just felt for years that no respect for Shula as that top guy, and maybe this death here will remind us just how great he was. Because to me, he's in the conversation of the top 5 coaches of all time. I mean, I probably will take Bill Belichick over him. I probably take Bill Walsh over him. But in terms of the top 5 discussion, he has to be at least discussed in there. I'm not saying he has to be in top 5, but he has to be discussed about it. And that in itself is an accomplishment. And I don't think Shula's even gotten discussion of top coach all time, at least modern media today. And it's pretty sad in my opinion, because Shula was a great coach. Yeah. So I mean, and by the way, he was 9 years old when he died this morning. And he already had been a lot of bad health in recent years too. So he was already on on the way out anyway. We've seen him in public last couple of years, especially too, with some events here in South Florida. Obviously looks a lot older, and he's looks a little sick. That's just is what it is. So again, rest in peace, Don Shula. To me, one in the conversation of greatest NFL coach in history, my opinion. Let me see anything else I want to discuss before I go. I have to get inside and start doing the little shopping for the family. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about actually a couple episodes ago. So, Bill Simmons. I've cooled off on Bill Simmons actually a lot in recent months. This happened actually before the pandemic even started. I mean, I like his material. I mean, it was habit to listen to his podcast. It has been habit for me for a good while, over a decade. But recently, I just kind of not really cared to listen to every episode, and not even just every episode, but just more so just him in general. I don't know what it is. It's a weird situation. Because he was one of the, when I look at podcasts, I listen to every week, like on command. He's one of the ones I always on command. Simmons episode comes up, I listen to it. Now, to be fair, I say this, but I've started listening to him again in last week or so, only because he's had some of my favorite guests on the show. Like, he had Chuck Klosterman on the show, I think, not last week, but the week before. And you guys know, I'm a Klosterman guy. Anytime he's on any podcast, I'm going to listen to him. I love his pop culture takes and whatnot, right? I love his perspective. And he's had some decent guests in recent weeks that I want to hear from. And I think also The Last Dance, documentary, which I'll probably do another podcast this week about my review on episodes 5 and 6. If not written form, certainly on here. But the discussion points with him and Ryan Russillo has been pretty interesting, actually. So at least the last couple of shows have been pretty decent. But before last week, I was kind of on the Simmons ban for a little bit. Like I said, just didn't really care to listen to him. In fact, not just him. I've been kind of... my wrestling content I haven't really watched. I'm behind. I haven't watched any WWE content really on TV since WrestleMania. Not that I hate the no crowd era. It's a hard watch. It really is. I'm trying to watch it, but I don't have the motivation to turn on the TV on Mondays and Fridays to watch it. what I've been doing is using the social media thing that WWE's provided for, on Instagram, for example. They give you a recap in 3 minutes for both shows. Push that one for NXT, be great. But the surprise here for me is that I'm behind on AEW too. I'm behind by 2 weeks on AEW. And AEW was the one wrestling show that I stayed on top of and watched within 24 hours of airing. If not the same day, certainly the next day or within the time frame. And I fall behind. And it's funny, like, you think, like, being in the pandemic now, which is the week number 8 for me, you think to be, okay, you have all the time in the world. But when you don't have structure, it's harder to commit. And I committed to the office. I just started Better Call Saul yesterday. I'm trying to do some podcasts and stuff. I'm trying to spend time with my family and all that. There's so much to do that without the structure, you don't feel as, I'll just catch next day. Well, I've fallen behind in AEW in 2 weeks. I've fallen behind big time on WWE programming. The recaps have kept me in a loop a little bit. But, yeah, it's just kind of the content for me is actually tougher without structure. It's weird. But as I said, I did start Better Call Saul last night with my wife. So far, almost halfway through the first season. Love it. Not sure it's on the level of Breaking Bad yet, but we'll grade that when the time comes. So there's that. So all right, that's about 20 minutes of this podcast. I'll get out of here. I'm going to the store, getting some odds and ends here. Maybe do another pod. We'll see. Definitely Thursday pod with Roz and G. If I get a chance to spend 20 minutes with you guys here, I'll do another solo pod on The Last Dance, or check the blog. My writer's block is broken finally. I'm actually writing a lot more, so maybe I'll just write it instead. We'll see. But till then, love you guys. We'll talk later. God bless. And stay safe as always, man. Later.